naming again, I want to bring our final speaker. This will be Mr. Orion, speaking on the topic of lessons from my father.
All right. Thank you. (1997) May. It was a Friday before my graduation from high school. I was in the basement with a friend of mine. My mom calls me upstairs and says, "Hey, we got to go to the hospital. Something's happened to your dad. He was at work at a meeting, and we got to go." Okay, so we went. That Sunday, I went to the hospital after commencement in my cap and gown to prove to my dad that I had graduated from high school. Well, that was May of 1997. On August 18th of this year, 2008, I'll mark the 10th anniversary of my father's death in 1998. He died of brain cancer, and I was just about to enter my sophomore year of college. I didn't deal with this very well. Maybe that's silly to say. Maybe nobody deals well with this kind of incident. But for me, it meant that I failed a lot of semesters of college at MSU, a lot of different classes. Up to the point where in 2002, the university academically recessed me, which is probably a good thing, because I wasn't doing much better then than I had been in 1998. And I know that there are people who have hit bottom harder than I did. I'm not even sure, really, that what I did was hit bottom. I floundered. I was lost. Things did get better. I've had a job for the past 8 years that's been a welcome source of stability in my life. I met my wife. I got married. I got a dog. I got a cat. I got a debate team full of interesting high schoolers. When I look back on those lost years of my life, I think why I was lost was that I didn't even know why I was lost. I was really out of it. Well, this speech is not about how my father overcame adversity when he was struggling with cancer. That would be a fine speech, don't get me wrong. This is different. When I lost my father, I didn't just lose somebody who was dealing with cancer. I lost an entire history that I hadn't even really gotten to know yet. I was just starting to get to know a lot of this. And so this speech is about my struggle to understand myself by understanding him. A few years back, my mom collected several letters from about to my dad and put them together in a booklet that she gave to all of her kids. And it wasn't really until this week, when I was preparing for this speech, that I had sat down and really read through all of these letters. I had heard, for example, that my dad was present when Martin Luther King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, but that wasn't real to me. What was real to me was when I read a letter that he wrote to his parents in 1961, traveling through the southern states with the Freedom Riders, and talking about issues of racism in America very deeply. He was 20 years old then, about the same age that I was when he died. And he was a better writer then than I am now. Or another letter from 1969, written from the Mekong Delta in Vietnam, to Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger, after he had spent 21 months there trying to understand the war and the Vietnamese people and the Viet Cong themselves. He was 27 then, I'm 28 now, and the insight that I got out of that prose was amazing. It shocked me. He was doing nothing less than proposing a sweeping reimagination of U.S. foreign policy in the area. It was an 18-page letter. There were appendices. There was incredible detail. It was amazing, and shocking parallels to the current situation in Iraq. Well, these letters come together to form a picture of my father, as he was then. Because, you see, back then, he wasn't anybody's father. He was just a guy in his 20s trying to understand his world and see what he could do about it to make it better. And he would dive headlong into the issues of the day. Unlike Forrest Gump, he went in head first and with his eyes wide open, but he dove in. Why am I going into teaching? I think this is related. I think I found my path into teaching because I believe that it's a way for me to use my talents to make the world better. I think my talents are a thirst for knowledge and a thirst for the ability to use that knowledge productively to make a difference. I want to tell you about one more letter. This was from my grandfather, written to my dad in 1942, when my dad was still a baby. And DeWitt, my grandfather, writing to his son, wrote a number of things that his son wouldn't even understand for many, many years to come. My dad never wrote me a letter like that. I guess that's sad. But he wrote. And back before there was even a me to write to, my dad was writing things and putting his character right there on the page for anyone to stand and bear witness to, including me. I don't think I was ready to understand what was going on with him then until I am me now. And I'm glad that I have found my own way, charted my own course. But I was surprised to look back and look around and see him right there, right next to me. I was grateful to find that out. And I was really glad that deep down I can finally believe that yes, I am my Father's son.